Hi guys, we have a really short screencastify for today. We are just moving right through chapter 13. We have two sections left to do after today. We will do one after break, so don't think that we're going to stress out to try to get it all done now. So these are still our objectives. We are still focusing on this top one. You will be able to identify the evolutionary behaviors that encourage survival. So we're looking at the energy in ecosystems. I have to hold myself up here for a second. So we are looking at the types of consumers that organisms are. So we have the producer. It's an organism that obtains its energy from abiotic sources such as sunlight or chemicals. These are your plants, your fungi, anything that can make its own food. We have autotrophs. Those are organisms that obtain their energy from abiotic sources such as sunlight or inorganic chemicals. So autotrophs and producers are the same thing. They're just two different words to use for them. When we are looking at certain models, we are going to use the term producer. When we're looking at other models, we'll look at the term autotroph. A consumer is an organism that obtains its energy and nutrients by eating other organisms. So you and I are consumers. We do not have the ability to lay out in a field and make our own energy from the sun. And then a heterotroph is a consumer, again, depending on which model you're talking about, depends on which vocab word you're using. So heterotrophs and consumers both obtain energy and nutrients by consuming others. And chemosynthesis is the process by which ATP is synthesized by using chemicals as an energy source instead of light. So these are organisms that live at the very bottom of the ocean where the sun doesn't light or doesn't reach, but it's still a producer. So it uses heat and chemicals to make its own energy. Producers are those that provide other organisms in the ecosystem a food source. All organisms must have some source of energy in order to survive, but not all organisms obtain energy from eating one another. Producers get their energy from non-living resources, making them produce their own food. So these are called your autotrophs. And then consumers must eat other organisms in order to obtain energy, such as plants or animals. These are heterotrophs. All ecosystems actually depend on your producers. No matter what ecosystem you're in, your energy source always starts with your producer. Producers provide the basis for the ecosystem's energy. All animals rely on producers because we cannot make our own food as animals. Most sunlight is the main source for producers to produce their own food. Sun is the direct source of energy for our producers and the indirect main source of energy for all organisms on Earth. This is why it is so important that animals do actually rely on sun indirectly because it is the main source of energy. Without sun, we wouldn't have plants. Without plants, we wouldn't have any food to eat. All producers obtain energy from sunlight. Most producers on Earth use photosynthesis to create their energy, and I threw that photosynthesis equation right back in there for you. So 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, so C6CO2 plus 6 H2O, 6 water, plus sunlight will yield C6H12O6, which is glucose or energy, and 6 molecules of oxygen. Not all producers are able to make their own food or energy through photosynthesis because we do have producer organisms that live on the bottom of the ocean where the sun does not reach. They would obtain their energy through chemosynthesis. These are tiny prokaryotes. They live at the bottom of the ocean. It's the process of creating carbohydrates, which is what glucose is, from the use of chemicals rather than sunlight. So through a series of reactions, the chemicals will change into a usable energy form. This uses the deep, rich sea vents for heat and a chemical source that comes up from the Earth's crust, which is usually rich in sulfur. So our sulfur-rich salt marshes and hydrothermal pools such as those in Yellowstone. So looking at this, we have our photosynthesis here. It needs sunlight. Chemosynthesis uses chemical instead. And that's all I have for today. So make sure to complete your notes and check out the project that I'm assigning. Like I said, that project is not going to be due until May, so don't stress out. At the very bottom of the project, I actually have given you guys a bit of a timeline that you can follow through. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.